Today, we're not talking about politics, we're talking about perspective. Because the freedoms we live in today didn't just happen. They were carried here by women whose names most of us barely know.
So true. Women who led without titles, influenced without microphones, and endured without recognition. And the question isn't just what they fought for, it's what we're doing with what they gave us.
So this episode is about strength, identity, gratitude, and what it actually means to be a woman in today's world.
It's a beautiful chaos, this roller coaster ride. The ups, the downs are spinning all around inside. It's a beautiful chaos. Sometimes I love, sometimes I hate. Have to pause, renegotiate, but with gratitude I appreciate this beautiful chaos.
Welcome to Beautiful Chaos. I'm Tammy Ramsey,
And I'm Staci Miller.
and today's episode is called Women of History.
Happy Women's History Month.
Yes, happy Women's History Month to you. I feel like March is a really busy month because you have National Nutrition Month.
Yep.
And Women's History Month. We have St. Patty's Day, St. Patrick's Day, yep. And then,
Green nails.
oh, I like it. And a green shirt. Is that green?
It's
Yes,
green.
it's green. She's very green. I am not. I've missed that memo. And then also, I just want to say, my family has the most birthdays in March. So I know what all of you were doing 9 months ago. March is a very busy month. So Women's History Month isn't about comparison. It's about inheritance and all the things that I think that we forget that we as women fought hard for, whether we were standing or silently supporting. And I thought it would be really a great idea for us to celebrate some of those people, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we're standing on a foundation we didn't build, but we're responsible for what we build on it.
Absolutely.
I think it's easy to lose that. So we need to bring our focus in. So who's the first person that we want to talk about that represents, I feel like, the strongest woman?
Okay.
If I were to have met Harriet Tubman, I would have been a huge fan.
Yeah.
Because I admire her strength and her tenacity.
Yeah. She had to have an incredible amount of courage to do what she did in the time that she did it, for sure.
Right. So Harriet Tubman, and for those of you that might not remember history, she started out as a slave. At 5 years old, she was watching her other siblings, and there were 9 siblings. And when her brother got old enough to be sold off to another farm, her mother hid her brother for a couple of months until they finally kind of forgot about who he was, I guess, you know. And so this inspired, I think, Harriet to stand up and to do what she did. So she married a free man, and she escaped.
Which bought her freedom.
Yeah, right. Which bought her freedom. And she paved a way for her, started with her siblings. I can't remember, it was just siblings. Started with her siblings that she chose to bring out of slavery and took a path. They call it the Underground Railroad. So you'd go through the woods, like in back east, there's like tons of trees and tons of hills. And it's very thick with forest. Yeah. And they, went and they would hide in houses and all the things. And she led, after that, I think that said over 300 people to freedom.
And that takes a lot of courage, because not only are you trusting yourself in standing up in that process, but she had to trust each of these safe houses that they were going to continue to keep everyone safe along the way, and trust each of the people that she was rescuing and saving that they were really looking for freedom, and not to out her in this process, because it could have went bad at any time. Anything could have broken that chain and messed the whole thing up for all those people who gained freedom that way.
Right. There was actually, you can watch, if you Google Harriet Tubman on YouTube, it gives a whole little spiel. It's pretty cool. And it shows a picture of her holding a long rifle. And it said it was not only just for protection from outsiders, but sometimes the people that she was traveling with would get scared and change their minds. And she was, I guess, prepared or threatening, I'm not sure, to shoot them because
Right.
you know, sometimes you have to risk the few to save the many.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard.
That was the world they lived in, yeah.
That was totally the world they lived in. But let's look at what she started. You know, she encouraged freedom and sought freedom for everyone that was a slave. She became an activist in the 1960s to stand up for women's rights. And she actually filed to vote 3 times, but they denied her. I thought it was pretty interesting, too.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she didn't have a title. She wasn't in the army. She wasn't fighting for the whole North or fighting for all the slaves. It started off as her focusing on her family, and then it grew from there and became this bigger, beautiful thing.
Which is, I think, such a important part of the story because we're saying we're not here to compare. So we're not going to necessarily say that we can do what Harriet Tubman did, but what can we do within our own little circle to just, you know, be a strong leader, be a strong woman, set a good example, and could that then spread in our own way somehow?
Right. It's about being courageous.
Yeah.
For sure. That's what we're focusing on. And then my favorite, and I guess we should
last one was your favorite.
I know that was my favorite. I can't help it. I love this because this ties to the America's 250 celebration.
Yay.
250
Shameless
years.
plug.
Yes. So Betsy Ross. I'll talk about the first couple, and if you want to talk about or whatever, you explain what. We're winging it.
So hopefully we all know who Betsy Ross is. So of course she not only made the first American flag that we all know, but she also, apparently we learned that she made a flag for the Navy as well during the Revolution. So, you know, there was, what a small, quiet gesture. And I think that's another thing that's really important about what we're hearing today is like, it's not big and bold either. She was quietly sewing away in the evenings in her own home. And then what she made is something that still symbolizes our freedom every day in the United States. And I think when I think of the flag, I have to just say that for those of you that were old enough to be around for September 12th of 2001, it was such an impactful day because it wasn't always cool to have like the flag maybe flying in front of your house on a pole. You know, that was definitely admirable, especially if you like served in the military and that kind of thing. Right. But to just wear like an American flag on your shirt or to like drape it outside of your car when you were driving on the street, like none of that it wasn't really cool to like wave the flag by just everybody. But then after September 11th, that next day, everybody had a flag out. Yeah. Every store, every business, every person, everybody waved a flag. And it became so important because we had our freedom affected and we remembered through that symbolism how important our freedom is to us. So that symbolism has lasted for so long. And it was, like I said, very small thing that she did, I think, in her eyes, and ended up being such a big thing for the rest of the history of our country.
For sure. And it definitely, and in that instance, after September 11th, was definitely a reminder that united we stand and divided we fall. Mm-hmm. And we all united after that incident happened, knowing that we needed to come together and be of the same mindset as, you know, just be patriotic to your country, man. The other thing that I learned while researching this is that when they originally brought Betsy Ross the sketch of what they wanted the first flag to look like, the stars had 6 points. And Betsy Ross said, no, we're going to do 5 points because it's easier to replicate.
Okay.
6 points is not as easy to replicate. So it takes a great seamstress, somebody that quilts, somebody that sews, to have that vision, to have that correction. And after the revolution, she made U.S. flags for our country for the next 50 years.
Wow. That's remarkable.
Right. So definitely, like I said, it's a small obedience done quietly in her home. Abigail Adams, who was John Adams' wife, and I did not know this, she was the first and second lady of the United States. So I thought George Washington was married, and he was our first president, right?
You are asking me a question that I didn't know the answer to prior to this, so I'm not sure how we came to that.
I don't know, but I'm just gonna go with this is what I read and found, and so we'll go with it. Now, what I think is cool about her was she set a high standard for first ladies, for one.
Yeah,
because you're in it, and you got to be on your best behavior and
under a microscope. A
Under
different kind of microscope then, obviously, because we don't, not social media, no television, internet, things like that.
Yeah.
Radio.
Yeah. So, but what's phenomenal is that they found, years later, they found letters that were, that he would write to her while he was away. And he actually really leaned on her for her,
guidance
and intellect. And yes, they discussed things on government and politics, and she was actually like kind of the witness from home, letting him know, hey, here's what's happening where we're at in the Revolutionary War. Like, I'm gonna open this lens for you and give you what the full picture is. So I thought that's amazing,
because we think about the time period. I don't think that women were respected in that way, to think that their opinion would be valued, especially at such a high level. So it's incredible to think that her opinions mattered and they were listened to.
Yeah, it's amazing, because back then a woman couldn't even own land.
Right.
That's why there was a lot of bar saloon girls, because they couldn't own land. They didn't have anybody to take care of them. They didn't have any family, and they had to have some way to support themselves. But anyway, so this is, in this case, Abigail Adams, she was that behind the scenes, like that wind beneath my wings person.
Well, when you think about where first ladies have come since then, it's probably a lot due to Abigail Adams and the way that she presented herself, because it's easy for, a wife possibly to take a back seat to a husband with a really important job. But as we all know, with the first lady, they have to have their own agenda. They have to have their own campaign that they want to stand on. They have to have something they're going to fight for while their husband is in office, because it is its own office to be the first lady now.
Yeah. And I do think I will give a shout out to all the first ladies, because I think all the first ladies, whether they've been Democrat or Republican, I don't care. All of them have done something that has been super beneficial for our country and have made big differences. So next is Amelia Earhart. We're kind of going through a bunch of these kind of quickly because we want to be done in 30 minutes, but we have a lot a lot of stuff we wanted to focus on. So I just love the courage and strength and tenacity and all of it that Amelia Earhart took, because she was the first American aviator and aviation pioneer that was female. And she was the first to cross the Atlantic by airplane. And
solo.
Female.
Yeah. Female solo.
Yeah. So amazing that, again, a female was recognized for doing something like that. And then she was one of the first aviators to promote commercial air travel.
Thank goodness for that.
Thank goodness. We give you a high five, Amelia, because, I like
Where would
flying.
we be without commercial air travel?
I'd have been driving 4 or 5 days to go visit my family.
Yeah.
Well, probably wouldn't have even moved out here.
Right.
So, you got to think about those things. The other thing, she was an author. And she's the founder of 99s, which is an organization for female pilots. Now, I'm not sure if that still exists, but I thought that was awesome that she not only was successful in what she was doing and making a difference in the world, but she was also creating this over here for women to be able to participate in, to grow women in their strength as aviators.
I actually heard a story last night of a female pilot with United, and she has recently been recognized as the most senior female pilot in United's history. But as of, I believe, like today, she'll now be recognized as the most senior pilot, period. Of United's history. And I think that's where the important distinction is it's great to be recognized as the first female whatever, but when we're looking at certain things when it comes to equality, there's no difference between a male pilot and a female pilot. They do the literal exact same job.
They do.
I mean, there's definitely, biological and other differences between males and females. I'm not going to get into that. But like when we're looking at it, that's an even playing field. Right. And so for her to be recognized as the most senior, most experienced pilot with United altogether. So without Amelia Earhart, I'm sure she wouldn't be where she is today as well.
Exactly. So we thank you, Amelia Earhart. So this, and Amelia stands for expansion. And, there always has to be someone that goes first and then someone that follows. And look at that. Yeah. And then Rosa Parks. And I researched a little more about Rosa Parks, and she was actually a secretary, and I can't remember the association, but they filed civil lawsuits anytime anybody's civil rights were hindered. And I thought that it was amazing that she probably sat there and worked her butt off on all these cases and investigated and got all this information. And I would feel like I would be kind of fed up with, well, look at this. Well, this happened and this happened. When is this going to stop? And so then when you get on that bus and you're so tired, your feet hurt because you've been working all day and all you want to do is sit down, and you don't want to give your seat up. You want to fight for your rights because it's not only that day that you're fighting for, it's all this other stuff that's going on.
Quietly building. Piling up and building, in her brain that whole time.
Yeah. And I love that she was calm about it. Yeah. It wasn't like, there was no bombings, there was no
riot, no fighting, no shooting, just quiet.
Calm. Like, no, I'm gonna sit here. Yeah, I'm just gonna sit here. And what she did changed,
and that's important.
Changed
for women today to remember that our strength doesn't always have to be loud. Our ways that we stand up for ourselves doesn't have to be noisy. It doesn't have to necessarily cause a stir. It could be something that is done quietly in the background or calmly without chaos. Yes.
Like, don't lose our crap in public. Let's just be calm about it. And maybe you'll get more. What is it? What's that saying? You get more bees with honey? What is the versus vinegar?
Yep. It's something like that.
Something like that. Honey vinegar. There's, just basically be nice, be calm, and you can get more results that way instead of yelling and screaming and being awful to people.
Well, we never know what somebody else is going through or the circumstances that got you into whatever situation that you're in. So responding loud, violent, chaotically isn't going to ever improve the situation. Right. And it may give you even a worse effect than what you were looking for. Because again, if you don't know what somebody else is going through, their explosive response might be even worse.
Yes, exactly. So let's talk about some modern examples of strength, which, by the way, I would just like to say, I think you are always been a great example to me of strength, because it's like no matter what, you're just going to do what needs to get done. And you've always been there to support everything, crazy thing like a podcast, even music in the park, the theater, all the things that you've supported me in. And you've always just stood up no matter what.
And just chugged along.
Did it. Yes.
But I've done that because of your leadership and your tenacity to just do things whether they sound crazy or not. And then we find out if they work out eventually.
We're still waiting on the podcast. So if you like the podcast, please subscribe and like and share with your friends.
Let us know. Give us some feedback. We'd love to hear if we're making a difference in your day.
Yes, we would love that. So one of my favorite people is that I think really shows strength and character is Mel Robbins. And I've read several of her books, and I love her way of thinking. I love the Let Them theory. That's a really good one.
Yes.
But I listen to her podcast as well, and her interviewing style is just so natural. And she's the first to say, that's me. I'm the screw up in that situation. And this is what, I
very
need help.
confident.
Yes. She's very, and she's open. She's like an open book. And I feel like we do that too, but she's, very good leader.
The next one is Oprah Winfrey. Those of you that grew up in the 90s, I feel like she really helped us see things that were happening in the world that maybe we weren't exposed to yet, and gave voices to people who didn't otherwise have a voice. And so there was a lot of people who would, go on her talk show and talk about things that we weren't hearing about. But she gave a voice to people, and I think tried her best to use her platform to really, she knew her audience was women. And so it was never past her to know that she was trying to empower women, educate women. She started a book club. I think that got a lot of women reading. She was always on a health journey. And so I think there was always women that were following some sort of health journey of hers. And also knowing that you can fail in your health journey and you can climb back on and you can try again. But she, I think, exposed people to just a lot of different characters, people, poets, Maya Angelou. I mean, just a lot of people that we otherwise would not have paid attention to. And then she's continued to have her own production company, her own network, her own
magazine,
her own podcasting network now. So she has trailblazed many paths for women through also through news anchoring, because she was one of the first Black female news anchors in Chicago. And so that was also a path. She wanted to be Barbara Walters growing up. And so
I didn't know that.
So that's how she met Gayle King, her best friend.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah. So anyways, that's my spiel on Oprah. I just think that, regardless of what we may think about some of the things that she's done, she really has trailblazed for women and came from a broken family, no electricity, no running water at her dad's house growing up. Dad grew up in a slave family. I mean, it just really, like, in one generation, just flipped the script completely on her trajectory, what it could have been.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Well, and Serena Williams, like, I played tennis in high school, absolutely loved tennis, and I love her as a tennis player. She is just so hardworking and determined, and she also has a good attitude. I mean, I think that she's just a really great example for other women, and that if you put in the hard work and the discipline, then you will be successful. And oh gosh, and this fits with, like, when you're setting goals. I'm sure she set goals. Well, her opponent set the same goals, right? They both want to win matches. But who put in the daily work, the daily effort, the daily mindset to get it done? Sometimes it might have been the other opponent, but for 9 times out of 10, it was Serena that really worked hard on.
I think the other thing that I really like about Serena and Venus both is that when we talk about women and successful women, as we said in the beginning, it's really easy to get into a conversation about competition and how women tend to pit themselves against each other. And I've said this in previous podcasts that I really have seen a shift in that with the young people today, where, they're really quick to fix somebody else's crown. They get online and, oh, that's my best friend and I love her so much. And isn't my best friend the prettiest girl you've ever seen? And they're lovely, this younger generation. However, with Serena and Venus, their competition with each other. Yeah. And so I think that they really help people see that even when there was a loss, if Serena lost to Venus and vice versa, they always supported each other, because in the end they were family. Right. And this is not a female related thing, but you also see that with Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce. So they're with the NFL. They played each other in the Super Bowl a few years back. Yeah. And it was really sweet when the one team, the one brother lost, the other brother won, and how supportive they were of each other, and how it was like, I'm sorry you lost. And the other one was like, but it's your day and you won, and go be proud of yourself, and like go out there and get your trophy. And so it's just lovely when we see people supporting each other. And I think Venus and Serena were really foundational when it comes to that.
For sure. And then, I don't know, tell me again.
So I love Simone Biles. So those of you that are Olympics watchers, I really like watching the Olympics. So Simone Biles is the GOAT, as everyone knows. So she is a female gymnastics star. I mean, I think she has like 4 different moves that are named after her. The Biles is one that she does on the vault, and it's just ridiculous how much air she gets and how many times she can flip. And another thing that's really remarkable about her is that she got a case of the twisties at the Olympics a couple Olympics ago, which is where you just can't quite get your center again after you've been doing the gymnastics for too much. So she couldn't get out of her head, and she couldn't get the dizziness to go away. And so she had to bow out. And then she went through this whole like mental health journey and got herself back on track, got herself back into the Olympics. And then when she came back the next time, she's now the most decorated female gymnastics Olympian of all time. And she's amazing.
Well, and what a great story that is, because, and a great example, because none of us are going to have a perfect road.
Right.
We're going to have ups and downs, and we're going to have things that throw us off, and we're going to have moments of self-pity, and then we're going to have to pull ourselves out of the self-pity, and then we're going to have and there is, our worst enemy is ourselves and our doubts of ourselves, or our fears.
Yeah.
So what a great example she is that, hey, you can fall apart. You can not be your perfect self and have to take a break.
Well, I think another thing about the Olympics that is interesting, none of us will ever understand the pressure that they're under, because it's either first or it's nothing. There's very few sports that they recognize, like, I still got silver and I'm so proud of myself. The pressure is usually gold or nothing. And because the women's gymnastics is also a team, that's another group where I think I've seen, especially in these last couple of years, them really supporting and encouraging each other. So what you'll find is Simone on the sidelines, injured or out of it completely because of her twisties, cheering the crud out of her team because she wants to be so supportive of them and keep boosting them up. And if you watch the Winter Olympics with Alyssa Liu and all of them, they did it all over again. They were very lovely with supporting each other.
Yeah, great examples. Great examples.
And then our last one is Caitlin Clark. So Caitlin Clark is a famous WNBA player. She is also, I think, the GOAT of her sport. But the other thing that's remarkable about her, and one thing that she has been a catalyst in, is equal pay. The WNBA brings in a lot of money, a lot of spectators, a lot of advertisers. I'm not going to say no different than the NBA, because obviously the NBA has been around for a long time and the WNBA has been coming up for the last decade or so, but they're still making a lot of money for networks and for advertisers, and that money is not going to the players in the same fashion that it does with the men's. And so she has been a trailblazer in trying to help equal pay for women's basketball.
Nice. Very nice. So the overall point of all this is that strength comes in many forms. It's not just athletics. Yeah. Right? It's in all different types of people. Yeah. The main point that I think is that it's strength, courage, resilience, and persistence. Right. That gets you anywhere in life, whether that be quietly supporting or, out doing whatever it is that you want to do. Right. I don't know. We've got in here equality versus sameness, and
equality is tough because we could talk about equality for a really long time, because there's equity and then there's equality. And those of you that know those terms or look those terms up, they're very different. I think equality is a tough one because we aren't always starting from the same place. Right. But also we can't compare ourselves because in the end, none of us are exactly the same. I can't compare myself to Tammy. We're not the same age. We weren't born in the same place. We weren't raised by the same people.
Right.
We didn't grow up the same way. We don't live the same lives. We do a lot of things similarly, but it doesn't mean that I can say, well, I deserve everything that she has, or she deserves everything that I have, because that's just not how equality works. We really need to be in competition with ourselves.
Right.
Be the
100%.
best version of yourself that you possibly can be. And then while you're in competition with yourself, make sure that you're also like encouraging those around you. People say, you climb the ladder. Yes, climb the ladder, get to the top, but make sure you're reaching down and pulling people up behind you, because it's important that we're fixing each other's crowns, all those types of things that we say, but encourage other women, encourage other men, be only in competition with yourself, because when you're the best version of you, then you're giving the right things out to everybody around you.
Right. And you're a better leader if you're pulling those people, everybody up and even above you. Like I always want everybody else to be more successful than I am. And that was one thing, like with kids too, when you're raising your kids, a good thing to point out is, like you're great at this sport and you're number one. And that's what I was telling Adley, but wouldn't it be nice if all throughout all your siblings, everyone was a little better than you every year. And so that your youngest sibling ends up to be the Olympic champion or whatever, and she was like, well, my mind wants to say that, but, and and it's true, but that's a really good place to be and to be supportive of others and to be encouraging and to help them 100%.
We also have a note on here about rejecting femininity, and I just want to touch on that for just a second, because I think when we talk about equality and then we bring feminism into the conversation, I think it's really important. I have a whole soapbox when it comes to feminism, but I won't get into the whole thing. But if being a feminist requires you to put down anybody else, males, other females, any other community, then we're doing it wrong, is basically my whole soapbox. We can't believe that being a feminist means that women are just somehow entitled to everything without taking the same steps anyone else would have to take. So just remember, again, like, your path should not have to put down anybody else on their path.
Right, 100%. I love that. And then food for thought.
Yes.
Is who shaped you? So
right.
who shaped you? Who is there any one person, or is there multiple people that you look at that you think that you looked up to and thought, well, I want to simulate these traits of that person. I want to simulate these traits of that person. Was there any of that?
So we could double the length of the podcast if I got into that. But I will say that my personality is that I'm very observant. And so I'm always somebody who's pulling things from people and saying, I want to do more like that. Or I just watched why that became a mistake and I don't want to make that mistake.
Yeah.
If I went down to like the root of everything, my Nana is the person who originally like made the biggest imprint on me. And I call her Nana because her name is Diana and we didn't know how to say it. So we were really little. She was the lady who babysat us when we were little. And I only was at her house regularly for being babysat from 6 months old until I was 3. And she made this huge impact on my life. And my aunts will tell you, my mom will tell you, anybody will tell you that, my Nana was the one who made the biggest impact on my life, because she taught me that you don't judge people for the way that they look. And she went to like a community college in town, and I remember her taking me there, and there was all sorts of people in wheelchairs, people with disabilities, people that looked different, sounded different, talked different, all the things. And she says to me, and I'm 3. Yeah. She says, Staci, tell me what's wrong with these people. And I was like, I don't know. And she goes, nothing. There is nothing wrong with these people. Everybody is different and everybody is special, and God created everybody in their own way and for them to be special however they were created. Yeah. And there was multiple occurrences of her teaching me that exact lesson. And it was enough that I'm 46 almost, and I still remember the things that she taught me. And like little things like don't chew gum with your mouth open. Like I remember her teaching me that. But again, like who remembers stuff before they're 3?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you anything that happened from like 3 to 8 either because I just have nothing from there.
Yeah. Well, and I think my grandma was probably my first inspiration, and I am so much like her, but I admired her because she was very outgoing. She was very loving and accepting. She was like a party in a box.
That makes sense.
So, and one of the best stories that I remember that I always thought that totally just is her personality to a T, and who I always aspired to be like was she goes to New Orleans for the Mardi Gras. And this guy's over there and he's selling these sombreros. And she's like, I don't know. This is the story I'm told. Okay. And I could have the place wrong, but it was, he's got a little street cart and he's got all these hats. And she's like, what, are you not selling these hats? And he goes, no, I can't sell one hat. She's like, if I sell a hat for you, will you give me a hat? And he says, you sell 2 hats and I'll give you a hat. So she said, all right. So she threw a sombrero down on the ground and was dancing around it, clapping and going, cucaracha, cucaracha, come and get your hat today. And was just singing around. And all of a sudden that guy sold 10 hats. And I'm like, that's my grandma.
Yeah.
Like just full of life, full of energy and willing to take on a challenge.
Yeah. And put herself out there.
Yes. Like anybody else that's probably more not as extroverted, even extroverted people there might be some that would go, that's a little much.
Yeah.
She's a little cuckoo.
Yeah.
But I look at that and go, how awesome is that? And that I want to be that person that's fearless and afraid to just put myself out there no matter what. So I hope that's what I model to my grandkids, to the younger generation, is that to not be afraid of putting yourself out there for anything that you fully love, fully believe in.
Yep.
You know, all of that thing. And to also encourage others to follow along and to not be afraid and to be fearless.
Right.
So, yeah. So what legacy are you continuing? So think about that audience. Share with us in a comment on our Facebook page, which is Beautiful Chaos, or you can send a email to beautifulchaos1.buzzsprout.com and send us some fan mail. You can also do a little donation if you want. If you're like, hey, we really like those guys, but you need to quit wearing the same clothes over again, here's a little donation. Just kidding. You need a new microphone, here's a donation. So anyways, but yeah, follow us, like us, share us. If you're listening on a podcast, please make sure to download it so that you are reminded. We release these podcasts every Monday. Yep. Come rain or fall or sickness. But that is why sometimes you only see one of us.
Yeah.
We try not to infect the other person.
If you've heard me sniffling this entire time or that I sound like I'm underwater, that's why.
And that's why I'm leaning this way. All right. So to sum it all up, we don't honor women by proving we can be men.
No.
We honor women by fully becoming what only women can be.
Yep.
So be yourself, be empowered, bring your friend along, fix all the crowns.
Fix all the crowns. Remember that you're looking up to somebody all the time and somebody is always looking up to you. So keep that in mind. And finally stay empowered.